Whiskey coming from Scotland or products manufactured in Manchester, which will get access to Indian markets. He said about $6 billion of investment it will contribute about 6 billion pounds to the UK, of which 408 billion pounds in just the trade itself. Then he said it's good for British consumers as they get access to Indian goods. He said the significant, in fact, he very significantly said that this may be the most significant trade deal that the United Kingdom has made since leaving the European Union. And he said it will lead to deeper partnership. He said we want to strengthen our relationship, keeping in mind the India-UK Vision 2035, not just in trade, but in defense, migration, education, technology, and innovation. So that's a gist of what Prime Minister Starmer said. Prime Minister Modi, on his part, called it the CETA, a historic economic partnership. He said UK products like processed foods, medical devices, aerospace parts, etc., will be available in India. He said Indian textiles, gems, stones, and other products produced in India will have access, will be available in the UK market. He spoke about the defense and security relationship. He said the defense industrial roadmap is key to the technological industrial security revolution taking place in the two countries, between the two countries. He said AI to critical minerals, semiconductors to cyber security. He said we shall together create the future. All right, now these are visuals that we are getting from the Chequers estate, where Minister Piyush Goyal and his counterpart in the United Kingdom have just signed the CETA, or the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, FTA as we generically called it. So the two ministers signing, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and his counterpart in the United Kingdom, signing and exchanging the historic trade deal, which took more than a decade to be signed, called CETA, the Comprehensive Trade Agreement, Economic Trade Agreement, which is being billed as a game changer.
Jonathan Reynolds is the name of the Trade Secretary of the UK.
Could you say that again,
The Secretary of the State for Business and Trade. That's what his designation is, Jonathan Reynolds.
Okay, Jonathan Reynolds and Minister Piyush Goyal, after signing the CETA, or the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, sometime back at the Chequers estate, after which the Prime Minister, so these are visuals from some time back, this was concluded today as the two Prime Ministers gave their political nod to it, and the two ministers then formally signed this agreement, which was negotiated for over a decade. Coming back to what Prime Minister Modi was... Okay. Oh, all right. So let's listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say after the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, when he made the press statement at the Chequers estate along with Prime Minister Keir Starmer a little while back. Could I request my producer to please play that?
यह समझौता मात्र आर्थिक साझेदारी नहीं, बल्कि साझा समृद्धि की योजना है। एक और भारतीय टेक्सटाइल, फुटवियर, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, सी फूड और इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स को यूके में बेहतर मार्केट एक्सेस मिलेगा। भारत के एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस और प्रोसेस्ड फूड इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके की मार्केट में नए अवसर बनेंगे। भारत के युवाओं, किसानों, मछुआरों और एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए यह समझौता विशेष रूप से लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा। वहीं दूसरी ओर भारत के लोगों और इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके में बने प्रोडक्ट्स जैसे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस और एरोस्पेस पार्ट सुलभ और किफायती दरों पर उपलब्ध हो सकेंगे.
So Prime Minister is saying that, this will be mutually beneficial. He said Indian textiles, footwear, seafood, agri-products will, find market in the United Kingdom. He said this would be good for Indian youth, farmers, SME, fishermen, etc. And he said that, gemstones also he spoke, and then he said for the UK products, he singled out, he mentioned medical devices and aerospace parts, which will be available in the Indian markets. And let me quickly also tell you what else did the Prime Minister say, which was of significance. He said education cooperation, he said some 6 universities are opening campuses in India. But he said the two sides agreed that there is no place for double standards on terrorism. He thanked Prime Minister Starmer for expressing condolences for the Pahalgam attack. Then he said extremist ideology cannot be allowed to undermine democratic freedom. He said those who use democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself cannot, there is no place for that in society. That should not be permitted. He spoke about economic offenders. He said they need to be brought to book. And then he said the two sides discussed peace and security in the Indo-Pacific, the ongoing conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, between West Asia, and he said, restoration of peace and security should be there. He said sovereignty of all nations must be respected at all costs. Right. He said development, not expansionism, is the need of the hour. Then he thanked the Indian diaspora, calling them a living bridge. He said they not just brought curry with them, they brought creativity, commitment and character. And the most important thing at the last, which is, very high sounding on cricket. He said cricket is not just a game but a passion. It's a great metaphor for our partnership. He said there may be a swing and a miss at times, but we'll always play with a straight bat. And we will take this partnership to a high-scoring partnership.
Indeed. So that was what the Prime Minister said. And I'm told that we are not taking a break, but we have with us Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi. So you've heard the Prime Minister. The important thing about that is about textiles, gems and jewelry, pharmaceuticals, marine products, leather and footwear. Prime Minister talked about all these, also engineering goods, processed foods. To what extent are all these, going to get a significant boost now with this agreement? We looked at the UK market. I mean, to what extent is the UK market growing in the first place? I mean, it's the economy is stagnant to some extent. We've overtaken them, and both our economies are roughly of the same size. But there's not much growth, really, isn't it, in the UK?
No, very right. I think the way India has performed, we have overtaken in terms of our speed has been just outstanding. If you see the size of Indian economy today is $4.19 trillion. The size of UK economy is only $3.8 trillion. India's growth rate is somewhere between 6.2 to 6.5%. Right. UK's growth, you are very right, that only 1.2%. And therefore,
but
the UK...
that's also a developed economy, so the growth...
That's a developed economy. No. But we are much bigger than that. We are much bigger than that. And India, wait. And India's, the inward remittance is much bigger than the FDI, which is coming $130 billion. Right. India is now just amazing. And what you say is after 2-3 years we become the third, but you don't worry, after 40-50 years we overtake even America.
So will this help the UK economy grow, is what I'm saying?
And therefore, you are right. Soon after Brexit, the UK was very much worried. soon after Brexit, the UK was very much worried about, their economic growth, their inflation, the problem in the consumer, the money in the consumer. And this is, two things. One is for UK, the British Prime Minister in his speech has already talked about that, it will give more money to the British people, it will give, the better Indian products to them, and more the Indian investment is going to create jobs for that. And agriculture, what Indian Prime Minister, our Modi ji, has talked about is, he is very much worried about, the people in India, their well-being, the jobs and income level. And we were very concerned about, getting a duty-free access for our labor-intensive products such as textile, agriculture, footwear, toys, electronics, auto component, all that.
Indeed. So we are playing out breaking news, as we can see. Today is a historic day for India-UK relations. This is what the Prime Minister has said. India-UK Inc. Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. That's the name of the agreement.
It is very important here.
Yes,
it is very important here because free trade agreement generally is wherein, we do not have duty. So between the two countries, there is a zero duty, it's a free trade agreement.
Right.
But it is, we call it as a comprehensive economic trade agreement. It goes beyond goods. We cover the services, we cover the intellectual property, we cover the climate change, we cover the professional
migration and mobility.
We cover the digital transfer, digital trade, and therefore it is comprehensive.
So coming back to what you were talking about, agriculture to a large extent, I mean, this is the concern that many people have had about us protecting our agriculture sector. But really, the Prime Minister talked about curry. The fact is that if the Indian foods are going to grow in the UK market, they will require, isn't it, what makes the Indian food, isn't it?
You are very right.
And where does that come from? For instance, basmati rice. These are things that are more on the processed category of food. But wouldn't this all increase because of this trade agreement?
It will certainly increase because, from presently 14% to 20% duty, now they are getting excess of 0% duty in the US market. 95% of the agriculture product. We were very much worried about our, the fishermen and the marine product, shrimps. These products are getting, almost 95%, 99% is getting duty-free access. And it will increase. It is not only what the Prime Minister has talked is our goods and services, but, basically overall engagement with them. So our product being on the streets of UK will make, culturally also, very effective. And the Indian investment in UK is going to create jobs in UK and vice versa. So I think it seems to be a very, very, win-win deal. And, let me compliment the negotiators who have gone through intense negotiation over a period of 3.5 years, ups and downs. And, the trade deals are where you need to have a, trade-offs.
You must have had some inside knowledge about the negotiations. After all, the Ministry of Commerce is the one that did it. But, also about footwear. This is something that is interesting. After all, we see that Prada has taken our design. So, I mean, a lot of Indian footwear now can probably make its way, traditional footwear, into UK and compete with people who've tried to copy our designs.
So, very right. This is one. And more importantly, in case you export to the international market, and if UK is a high value market, and we export that, the quality of Indian goods would improve, our competitiveness will improve, and it is how the China has grown based on the international markets. So, our quality of our product, competitiveness, if it increases, so I think it will help not only in boosting India's export, but growth to the overall economy, growth to our manufacturing sector, growth to our services sector, and going to be a win-win strategy, going to be a milestone in the trade negotiations. You want to say something?
So Professor Joshi, I wanted to ask you.
Please.
You put in, what this CETA does is, it puts a framework together for your trades, goods, services, etc. But the trade really happens if the market wants it. The Chinese followed, quality standards. Does the international consumer have confidence in the Indian manufacturing sector, be it on food, be it on footwear? Do they invest enough in their R&D to be competitive in that market? You may say, your tariffs there are no tariffs, zero duty, but they will only buy, it will only sell if there is demand for it.
Please try to understand. Goods flows international on the international market based on the profits and the cost. Rest everything comes again. So what happens is, in case our products are competitive, and products, what we call as the mandatory quality standard in the country, they cannot enter unless our food product or any of the product have the quality standard which is mandated in UK or any other country, fulfillment of that. And for this, I think when you talk to the government, two things. It also includes the MRA, mutual recognition agreement of the quality standard, and we in India has done a astonishing job over the last 3-4 years, wherein the QCO, quality control, orders have come into to make, our products, the Indian products, highly quality conscious and competitive in the international market. And I am very sure, because UK especially is a high-end market, high-value market, high-value products sell in that market, and because of this, the Indian exporters, because of a lower duty structure, almost 14 to 20% lower in the agriculture and many of the food sector, would become more competitive, and this money saved, they will be able to put into the quality. And second thing is, you are very right, the government has to work in an integrated fashion across all ministries, all departments, our Indian embassies and all that, so that, there, rather than working in silos. So there is no gap, and we can help our exporters, facilitate our exporters to manufacture quality products, especially for exports, and put it into the market. The same case which we are talking happened in China, because Chinese products were not of quality product. Chinese have become quality products only because of pressure from the international market. And I am very sure that, with this trade deal, the tariff being low, or tariff being almost zero for most of the product, now Indian companies will strive to make their product quality conscious and have those quality competition. India has got, absolutely all the strength to do it, or rather, as you have seen in the Prime Minister Stemmer's speech, that Indian workers are going to the professionals in that market. What they talked about, almost 75,000 workers will get, professionals will get benefited, because it's a value for money. Indian professionals are much superior in terms of their delivery with the cost, and similar thing is going to be for the product. It is going to be completely game changer for in time to come.
Okay, I have another question on similar lines, Professor Joshi. What you put together through the CETA is, put in place through the CETA is a framework for trade in various sectors, services, goods,
trade, investment, services, even technology.
Yes. So you put an infrastructure. This agreement just puts an infrastructure framework there. Finally, if you are the consumer and I am the producer, you have to give me an order. I have to, and that's where the figures being touted will fall into place. Can you compete with the Chinese, who some say sell below the cost of manufacturing just to capture markets?
No, that's right. That sometimes Chinese product sells much below the cost. We call it dumping. They enjoy, the economies of a scale. They enjoy economies of a scope. So there are multiplicity of the problems. But what is happening is, you have seen that during the COVID-19, when the supply chains got disrupted, rather broken at multiple times, wherein the whole world was looking China +1. And therefore, India is a very reliable partner. India is a very reliable partner with UK and many other countries, with European countries. In manufacturing, that's right that the China has got an edge. But given the facility, given the right environment, Indian industry and the Indian professionals are second to none. And I believe that it's a good beginning. And at least if we try to have small share in the market and we begin, it's going to be a great beginning.
So basically, they're widening their basket and bringing you in.
Right.
Now it's up to you.
And there are products that we need to identify. There are products wherein India enjoy the competitive advantage which the China is not enjoying. China no more enjoy the advantage of the cheap labor now, which India enjoys now. China under no circumstance enjoy the advantage of the demographic dividend, because the population is declining every day. If you see last year, I think 3 lakh people, almost 3 lakh people declined. So India, the working group population is still increasing. We have this window for next 15-20 years, and in that I am very sure that India will transform in a major manufacturing hub, in a major export hub. So I think we are on the right path.
Is your workforce skilled enough, and is your workforce are your systems efficient enough to compete? They may be declining, but you can criticize dictatorship or a controlled system that they have, but that does bring in a certain sense of efficiency. Market doesn't care for democracy.
No, that's right. I don't want to discuss on the democracy or autocracy.
Yeah. No.
But what is very important is, let me tell you, as far as the skill and the competence is concerned, please understand, India is amazing.
Right.
India has got double the number of English speakers than the Great Britain has got. Their total population is 69 million, and our population is 1,460 million. We have got, so this is one. Then I think the skill in the STEM area. Right. So India, you can segment the people in the skilled in the various categories. But I am very confident that Indians are second to none, and Indians enjoy the top positions. I'll give you a very little example that the richest man in Great Britain is not born in Britain.
Okay.
He is an Indian.
All right. Okay. Professor Joshi, if you promise not to go away, I'll take a very short break. Don't go away. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome to Haryana, where the indomitable spirit of humanity unites. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. Welcome back to our continued coverage of the Prime Minister's visit to the United Kingdom, a historic visit for the economic partnership. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as we said, is on a two-day visit to the UK, and he met his British counterpart, Keir Starmer, a short while ago. They also signed, in the presence of the two principals, the comprehensive economic trade agreement. So, in fact, the two leaders held bilateral talks, and that's covered the entire gamut of the bilateral relationship. They discussed ways to strengthen it further, and also they discussed issues that are of regional and global relevance.
And as Mark was saying, India and the United Kingdom signed that much-awaited agreement, trade deal, called the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement. Piyush Goyal, the Indian Commerce Minister, along with his
Mr. Reynolds,
British counterpart,
Reynolds is his name.
Secretary of Trade,
Jonathan
Reynolds, signed that Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, or the trade deal in generic terms, and exchanged after the two prime ministers met and gave their political nod to it. The agreement, of course, was signed in the presence of Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended, briefed the press along with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, addressing, putting out the joint press statement that the two Prime Ministers gave. The Prime Minister said it's a historic moment for both the nations. Prime Minister added that after many years of hard work, the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement between the two countries has been concluded. He also highlighted that the benefits of this trade deal will yield. He highlighted the benefits this deal will yield for both countries.
ये समझौता मात्र आर्थिक साझेदारी नहीं, बल्कि साझा समृद्धि की योजना है। एक और भारतीय टेक्सटाइल, फुटवियर, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, सी फूड और इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स को यूके में बेहतर मार्केट एक्सेस मिलेगा। भारत के एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस और प्रोसेस्ड फूड इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके की मार्केट में नए अवसर बनेंगे। भारत के युवाओं, किसानों, मछुआरों और एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए यह समझौता विशेष रूप से लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा। वहीं दूसरी ओर भारत के लोगों और इंडस्ट्री के लिए
the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is tete-a-tete with between the.
ये अपने आप में मैं इसे बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मानता हूं। और यूके और भारत, हम एक प्रकार से नेचुरल पार्टनर हैं। आज हमारे संबंधों का एक ऐतिहासिक दिन है। आज हम दोनों देश मिलकर के पारस्परिक लाभकारी एफटीए और डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन इसको संपन्न करने जा रहे हैं। ये अपने आप में भारत और यूके भावी पीढ़ी के लिए एक बहुत मजबूत रास्ता तैयार कर रहा है। व्यापार और उद्योग के क्षेत्र में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। हमारे किसान, हमारे एमएसएमई, हमारे युवा, मैं समझता हूं उनके लिए अनेक नए अवसर पैदा हुए। इतना ही नहीं, 21वीं सदी ये टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन सदी है। ऐसे में भारत और यूके के युवा, उसमें भी स्किल्ड युवा, ये मिलकर के एक नए विश्व के निर्माण में बहुत बड़ा योगदान देंगे। 21वीं सदी की टेक्नोलॉजी नित्य नूतन इनोवेशन की अपेक्षा करती है। जब यूके और भारत के स्किल्ड युवा उनका दिमाग, उनका हुनर जुड़ जाता है तो विश्व के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी विकास की गारंटी प्रोवाइड करता है। इससे रोजगार बढ़ेगा, एक प्रकार से स्किल मोबिलिटी को बल मिलेगा और मैं समझता हूं कि विजन 2035 उसको हमारी जो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है उसको नई गति मिलेगी, नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। एक्सेलेंस, मैं फिर एक बार आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इस शानदार शुरुआत में भारत और यूके की एक भागीदारी को मजबूती देने में आपकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। मैं आपका बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं।
All right, that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Prime Minister Keir Starmer. They are meeting after the press statements where
one-on-one, I guess.
Between the two leaders, the one-on-one meeting where the Prime Minister said to Prime Minister Keir Starmer that India and the United Kingdom are natural partners. It's a historic moment that the FTA has been signed, which includes the double contribution convention. He said it will provide us a new opportunity for creating partnerships. He spoke about a technological partnership. He said the skilled youth of both countries will work towards creating a new world order together. He said speed mobility will be strengthened, and he said under the comprehensive strategic partnership, the India-UK Vision 2035 will be strengthened and will get speed. He thanked the Prime Minister Keir Starmer. I want to, Professor Joshi, I kept you back, for one reason, to thank you for being on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now Bhaswati Mukherjee, our former senior diplomat, and S.C. Ralan, the president of FIEO, join us now. Mark.
Right, indeed. Ambassador Mukherjee, let me start with you. So this comprehensive economic trade agreement has been signed. To what extent do you think this is going to give a boost to the British economy post-Brexit? Because it has been struggling with a lot of issues, trying to come out of the woods for an inflation, growth, job creation, and Prime Minister Starmer there saying that they're going to have $4+ billion per year in increase in trade, not your dollars, in fact pounds, and about £2 billion in wages increases. So that's quite a significant growth.
Thank you, Mark and Amrit, for having me on your program. I had been listening to the interview which Amrit had with the professor, and I wanted to make the following points. First of all, it is a very historic moment because for a very long time, pre-Brexit, when we were negotiating the India-EU bilateral investment agreement, one of the problems we had was with the British, because the Brits at that time, like India, had an economy which had similar strength. So it was difficult for them, even with the EU framework, to offer the necessary adjustments required to have a trade partnership agreement which is win-win for both. That problem has been very successfully circumvented now, post-Brexit, and there are some significant reasons for that. First of all, the Indian economy has overtaken the British economy. It's a stronger economy now. The British economy had gone through many problems and challenges post-Brexit because they were suddenly adrift without the European security behind them. They were therefore in a situation where they had to make many more concessions, particularly in common areas of strength. But as our Prime Minister also underlined in the clip that I just heard with the British Prime Minister, he underlined the fact that the benefits for India are vast, because for the first time in the history of trade between our former colonial power and ourselves, we are getting access to the UK market on areas where we have struggled in the past to get access. It's not just the Prada issue, and I do think that was the turning point. The devil wears Prada. I couldn't agree more. Our Kolhapuri sandal industry will have a huge market because it's much, much more competitive than what is available by Prada or anyone else. But more than that, our agricultural products, seafood, and the technology, gems and jewelry, these traditional items and the non-traditional items, including IT, etc., will find a ready market in a situation where we should not forget, Mark, that we already in many ways do dominate the British market. We have one of the largest real estate owners in London is India. We own several iconic British business, including their famous Cobra beer. Etc. So under these circumstances, I think it will also pave the way for a smoother negotiation for a more difficult trade agreement which awaits us now, and I'm sure you will cover it.
Okay.
Which
Yes.
is the
All right. Ambassador, that's a very interesting point that you make, that you had similar strengths. That's why it took you so long to conclude it. But both of you had to make concessions because the situation so demanded. Could you expand on that bit? Why did the situation demand that it be concluded fast?
this situation demanded that it be concluded fast because we have now finally embraced the FTA path. Whereas earlier it was difficult because of domestic compulsion to make those adjustments. Because at the end of the day, at that point of time, our economy had less strength than it has now. Now it is one of the world's most powerful economies. There is one issue on which this FTA, maybe you can enlighten me, Mark or Amrit. We used to insist on mode 4 of the WTO, that is called mobility. That is to say that we should have the same rights to travel to the UK for purposes as the Brits have to come here. In the past, when we were negotiating this with the EU, the Brits had strong reservations on mode 4, and I was told by one of my colleagues in the morning, I didn't have time to check, that there is a reference to mode 4. I'd be grateful if at some point both can check on this, because if it is, then it's a very substantial victory for us. Because, for instance, I'll give you an example, both of you. Suppose we are setting up a trade fair in London.
Okay. Yeah. Very quickly, did Uncle Sam play a role? The stick that he's been wielding around on both, breathing down the neck of both of you?
I think Uncle Sam cannot wield a stick as far as India is concerned. We are too big. We are too noisy. We stand up for our rights. Nobody, and certainly not Uncle Sam. The time had come for this. But what I was just trying to finish is that, for instance, in the business fair, we do need to take lower grade Indians with us for that business fair, and they were not being given visas at that time. So I do hope that with this partnership, we will also be able to facilitate the travel of necessary...
The migration and mobility part of it, yes.
In fact, we can turn to Mr. Ralan, who's the president of the Federation of Indian Exporters organization. Tell us, Mr. Ralan, Amrit was involved in a discussion a little earlier about quality. I mean, it comes into the non-tariff barrier category. But at the end of the day, isn't it the buyer who decides whether he's buying a product of a certain standard? In that context, while tariffs have been open for all our products, to what extent can we compete, with the supply chain that is coming in, let's say, from China or from other parts of the world?
Well, first of all, I must compliment my Prime Minister, because there are a lot of points which all the items which he described during his meeting with the Prime Minister, excellent. I must appreciate that. Yes, your point. Actually, at the moment, our total trade with UK is 42.6 billion, in which I think the exports is 25.2 and imports is 70.4. There are already a growing
Trade
trend in,
surplus.
as far as in the exports to UK. They only buy the quality people. Like unlike America or some or Middle East countries and all this, it is a standard which they follow. So there is no other question. What I would like to add, sir, regarding this FTA, what is the benefit to the exporters? The FTA grants duty-free access to almost 99% of the products the Indian exporters, the tariff lines. I mean, covering almost the entire export value of the key, especially the benefit is to the textile, apparel, leather, footwear, massive boost to the MSME.
Okay.
All these products have been mentioned by our Honorable Prime Minister. I'm surprised, but this is special advantage, in my opinion, is to the small MSME boost. I mean, for MSME, like Ludhiana, Agra, Kanpur, these are the places where they have a
They
good
have
chance of
textiles,
increasing the
footwear,
exports.
yeah, absolutely, food processing, etc.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ralan, if I can ask you, if you could put in very layman terms, what does this deal contain that will prove to be a game changer as it's being built?
See, look at this moment. There is a big recession in UK, Europe, but the orders are coming. I'm talking about I'm from the engineering side. So I'm talking about the engineering.
Right.
Lot of UK orders are coming. There doesn't seems to be any recession in UK. There is a recession in other parts. There is a recession in USA because USA importers are very fearful if the next moment, what will be the next moment of Trump. So if they buy at the 50% tariff or 30% tariff, suppose he declares it at the BTA, suppose it comes down to 10%. The consignment lying with them, the import stuff lying with them will immediately go down prices. So they are still afraid. At the moment, UK is still going very fine.
Okay.
Right.
I request both Ambassador Mukherjee and Mr. Ralan to stay on.
I would like to add one. Which is very
Can I
important.
come back to you, Mr. Ralan? Can I come back to you? I request both Ambassador and Mr. Ralan to stay on. Let's listen into what the Prime Minister had to say on specific things. For example, he highlighted the benefits of the double contribution convention that was also agreed within the FTA deal. Prime Minister Modi said that the trade deal will significantly boost employment opportunities for people of both nations.
इस समझौते के साथ ही डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन पर भी सहमति बनी है। इससे दोनों के सर्विस सेक्टर, विशेषकर टेक्नोलॉजी और फाइनेंस के उसको एक नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को गति मिलेगी। कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस घटेगा और कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ेगा। साथ ही यूके की अर्थव्यवस्था को भारतीय स्किल्ड टैलेंट मिलेगा। इन समझौतों से दोनों देशों में निवेश बढ़ेगा और रोजगार के नए अवसर बनेंगे। इतना ही नहीं, दो लोकतांत्रिक देशों और विश्व की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच हुए यह समझौते वैश्विक स्थिरता और समृद्धि को भी बल देंगे।
Well, the Prime Minister also said that India and the UK have continued to share views on peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the situation in West Asia. The Prime Minister thanked his UK counterpart for strongly condemning the Pahalgam terror attack.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी।
And after signing the trade deal, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that the deal will bring huge benefits to both countries, boosting wages, raising living standards and putting more money in the pockets of the working people.
The deal that will bring huge benefits to both of our countries, boosting wages, raising living standards and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier.
And Prime Minister Starmer also said that the FTA with India is the biggest, most economically significant trade deal that the UK has signed since leaving the EU.
This is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership and for your pragmatism. And I'd like to thank everybody who's worked so hard to get this deal over the line.
We still have Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former senior diplomat, and S.C. Ralan. He's the president of the
Federation of Indian Exporters Organization.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Ambassador Mukherjee, the UK Prime Minister says this is the most significant trade deal that the United Kingdom, has made since leaving the EU. And the Indian Prime Minister, in an equally significant statement using the cricket metaphor, says there may have been a miss and a swing at times, but we'll always play that with a straight bat, and we are committed to a high scoring partnership. He said our youth, skilled youth especially, will cooperate, especially in technology, and create a new world order. Very high sounding statements. How will this trade deal actually, why is it the biggest deal for the Brits and for us?
Let me break it down for you, Amrit. The most significant statement is what the British Prime Minister said.
Okay.
Because when they left EU in a huff post-Brexit, they had confidently thought that they would be able to forge major trade agreements with major players, including India. That did not work out because, first of all, their economy went on a downturn after Brexit. Then you had the pandemic. Then you had the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the UK, foolishly in my perspective, that's my personal opinion, embraced the unilateral sanctions against Russia, which the EU and the Americans wanted. Although they were not obliged to do so, they still went ahead and did it. That further damaged their economy. So when he says that it's the most significant trade deal, I agree with him. From a UK perspective, it has also helped UK, like India, eventually, in case President Trump decides to impose those killer tariffs on India, we would also need to look for alternative markets, just as the UK is doing now. And agreements such as these between UK and India will help actually India to achieve a stronger negotiating position with, you called him Uncle Sam, with Uncle Sam. Right. Precisely because Uncle Sam will realize, because there are pragmatic people out there too, that countries like India, who have huge potential economically, are now looking for other trading partners, including the country that was their former colonizer, with whom we have huge connects on everything, not just cricket, but so many other things. So I would agree with the British Prime Minister that it's a huge, big deal for UK. As far as India is concerned, it is also a huge, big deal for us. We do need to work. I don't know, one of you mentioned it. I think it was Amrit. No, Mark. We do need to work on our quality control issues.
Right.
We need to make sure that the products we are giving them, including on seafood, etc., meet their slightly higher standards. Sometimes I remember having problems with the EU on that. They have certain kinds of measures which sometimes don't fully correspond with us. But I'm sure, as Mr. Ralan is here, will confirm that we will be able to get that in shape, because once we do that, it is totally win-win for India. Much
Okay.
more than totally
Indeed.
win-win.
Uh,
I would say it's a very, very big day for both countries, UK and India.
Ambassador Mukherjee, this opens up lots of possibilities. For instance, let's say textiles. Now, India obviously would have cost advantages because we have good tailors and we produce good stuff here at a reasonable cost. But perhaps the British industry, which also is good at textiles, they may say that, okay, we are not able to compete now with Indian imports. Let's bring in the Indian tailors here and start using them and cut down the cost, pay them, half of what we are paying our tailors, and then we're sort of exporting our tailors over there to start producing textiles in the UK. I mean, is that a possibility in the future?
Not at all, Mark.
Okay.
The very fact that they still have so many lingering problems about movement of Indians to UK means that they would be very hesitant to bring in what they call the lower level skills which are necessary to decrease their labor costs. Moreover, with such a huge population that we have, let us say that they take away all the tailors who are presently working in Delhi. We will immediately have substitutes coming in from UP, from Bengal, if we are a huge country with huge skills.
Right.
Take away all our tailors from Delhi. I can guarantee you in 15 days they will all be replaced. So we have skills that are spread all over India, not just North India. We must
Fair enough.
understand. And
No,
because of that, they will be forced to come here, because it's not just the tailors. It's the whole deal is packaged in a much lower cost. I mean, take for instance the clothes, the Indian clothes that I'm wearing here, which
Right.
are all tailored here in India. Everything that I'm wearing is being tailored in India, right? So this kind of stuff people in UK would give anything for, because it is almost 80% cheaper than the same product in a British departmental store. That's
Indeed.
the most part of it. You would see the same Indian product, Mark, and you're in
Sure.
London, go and have a look. They will be priced 80% higher than what you could get for your wife here in Delhi. So that's
So
a
this-
hint. But you're shopping over there.
Why, Ambassador, did you pick up that bag in Paris then, the Dior bag?
That I did not pick up
Okay.
the bag, but I agree that you have a point as far as Indian ladies are concerned.
Okay.
We have a
Okay.
weakness.
Mr. Ralan, with regard to developing capacities to sort of meet international standards, I raised the subject about the textiles, but that goes. See, we already have in terms of gems and jewelry, we are polishing a lot in different parts of the world. In the same way, I mean, in many of these other sectors where we have strengths like pharmaceuticals and all that, rather than produce in India and export, is it possible for us over time to establish industries in these countries itself and sell locally?
There are a lot of chances. Even what I say is, even the collaborations will be happening in India. A lot of investment will come from UK, because almost they are also making the textile. We are also expert in the textile. So there will be a lot of collaborations in India. Well, secondly, what we expect is the present $60 billion trade will come out to be $150 billion in 5 years. Secondly, I would like to explore here that the India commits to reducing tariff about 90% of UK goods to 85%, becoming duty-free within 10 years. Whiskey, gin, tariff slashed by 150 to 75. So, I mean, a lot of these things will be much cheaper for easy for the UK to export to India. Automobile, auto parts, also tariff cut from 100% to 10% under a new scheme, under this. So
Right.
I left one thing. The luxury cars, I think, will be available in India at a much cheaper price. Yeah,
Yes,
and
that's coming
medical
down to
devices
what,
also,
40%, I think, that tariffs over
aerospace
time.
parts also,
Right.
cosmetics also. So all these things will be much cheaper, and India will be able to get the quality uh, from UK at a reasonable price.
Okay.
Right, indeed.
Go ahead.
In fact, I think auto components are coming down to significantly, so that's one of the areas which will definitely improve.
No, but see, actually, this is you will see in future the total a lot of investments will be coming to India.
Right.
Lot of agreements will be coming to India.
Okay.
Indeed. Ambassador Mukherjee, let's, I mean, look at the larger picture in terms of, this being a template. After all, India is in the process of negotiating with the EU as well, neighboring Britain. I mean, if we worked out an agreement with Britain, we can clearly work out with the rest of with the rest of Europe. But also, I mean, that would act as a template with our big negotiation with the US. But also, I mean, perhaps, we can renegotiate with ASEAN and these other countries and other groupings because we have a new standard.
Absolutely, Mark. I would much prefer that we do the deal with the EU first. It was going to go through in 2007 when the Western banks all went down. Otherwise, we would have done the deal by 2007 itself. In my perspective, if we do the deal with EU first, it strengthens our negotiating position with the Americans. That's my first point. Secondly, many of the things which have been mentioned here had been actually held up because the British had problems because they, like us, are a service economy with similar areas of strength. So that's why they used to have a lot of reservations on some of the issues on which they have readily agreed. Those were sticking points pre-Brexit only because of the UK. Therefore, it will be extremely easy and timely to do the India EU FTA, we used to call it BTIA. We've taken out the investment part of it because the investment part of it was proving to be too complicated to add to trade between a highly developed bloc and a not so developed country. So I would therefore hope that we do the India EU FTA, and Brussels is showing a huge amount of flexibility because of the threatened tariffs by Uncle Sam. And then we can go and negotiate, hopefully, a win-win deal with the Americans, because President Trump, at the end of the day, is a transactional businessman. If he finds that overall both sides benefit, he would agree. After all, he had said so many things against China, and now he's done a trade deal with the Chinese. So it would be much easier for him to do a trade deal with us, and we would be able to help him in his quest to make America great again, provided he agrees in our quest to make India great again. That would be in my opinion, a common template which we should insist on when we do it with the Americans. And I think the India-EU FTA will probably come through very fast. I've got some pretty positive signals which have come in from my former colleagues in Brussels and also from colleagues here in MEA and Commerce Ministry. So I do hope that happens.
Okay. Can I have Mr. Rallan on the screen, please? Mr. Rallan, I want to ask you about this double contribution convention as part of the FTA deal that the Prime Minister specifically mentioned in the in his interaction with that one-on-one interaction with the British Prime Minister. What is this and how, why is it significant? Mr. Ralan, can you hear me?
Yeah. You are asking me?
Yes,
Ji.
Yeah,
Yes.
there were lots of ups and downs. See, there was a time that it was looking that there will not be any FTA with the UK and Europe. But thank God, I must say it is all the efforts of our Honorable Prime Minister. I see the Commerce Minister going to UK, coming back after 7 days. Then after 3 days, he was again going back to UK. I mean, it was a tremendous job for the Indian Ministry and the Prime Minister. Yeah.
All right. Ambassador Mukherjee, would you want to take that question on the double contribution convention that's a part of the FTA?
So it's about people who are working in who go there for short-term jobs. They don't actually pay for social security.
Social security in both countries.
That's right. So.
It is extremely important because we have been struggling to get this for a long time. The reason is that somebody who's going to be in the UK for, let's say, 8-9 months, they say that they are not. Most of them don't even take their family with them because it's difficult. It was difficult to get family visas also. They say that why should they contribute to social security when they're not going to be staying there permanently or even for 5 years? And we have been trying to make the same case that we don't charge anything from British citizens coming to work here, let's say for a year or so. We treat them in a manner in which they are what we call temporary guests, which is what the term which the EU also uses. So now they have agreed and they are going to treat these temporary Indians as guest workers, which means they don't have to pay social security, etc. That will also help to get a higher level of Indian skill into UK because many Indians hesitated to go, saying we have to leave our family behind. We go there and then we have to pay these huge amounts of social security, which is never going to benefit us because we don't plan to live there. So I think this would be one of the most important components, and we should insist on the same when we negotiate with the Americans. We should insist on the same because it is of great importance to us. It will also help us, Mark and Amrit, to solve that issue which I had flagged for you, which is that when you want to encourage the Brits to buy your stuff, you have to have all these exhibitions and stuff like that.
Yes.
Buyers, show them, tell them, just the way defense deals are done, the same way this kind of stuff is done now. And for that, we were having huge problems because you can't imagine a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar industry standing on a ladder and hanging up exhibits. We need to take people with us, and they were never given visas. So we had to pay extra for highly expensive British labor to set up those trade fairs. Now this is a thing of the past because the double contribution convention, in a way, I feel also circumvents the original suspicion that the Brits had voiced about Mode 4, the mobility agreement we were talking about. So these are all very, very ingenious ways of getting around long-standing problems. And I would agree with my co-panelists that our Prime Minister deserves a huge congratulation along with MEA and our Commerce Minister for having achieved it in such a short period of time because it's a complex agreement and there are so many emotions involved in it. At the end of the day, this is a country with whom we had 188 years of an unequal partnership. Now we have a trade partnership which is going to be like a template for other agreements. Even from that perspective, it is a breaking news for both UK and India that we were able to do this with the Brits and do it in a manner in which both sides say it's win-win. So I think even from that perspective, taking into account the troubled past before 1947, etc., that we were able to do such a deal, which is so beneficial to both sides, and to get around tricky things through this kind of double contribution convention, again demonstrates that our PM must have, in his own way, because he's very hands-on Prime Minister, he must have given the right guidance, the right push to say, okay, guys, we can compromise on this. They'll give us that, etc. Some things that were missing in the past because there was no such support
Right.
coming from the Prime Minister's office. They were always
Indeed.
done by Commerce Ministry and MEA. I think that the Prime Minister taking a personal interest has really helped to bring about this breakthrough, and I'm sure he's going to do the same for the EU and also with the Americans. So I think that in the
Indeed.
end of the day, our economy, this is going to push our economy forward in a breakneck speed so that we truly become Viksit, which is the word which PM likes to use. And we will become Viksit because these kind of trade agreements means that Viksit partners of India now regard India too as Viksit. That's also a great change in the thought process, which you can see since Prime Minister Modi took over. There's a huge difference in perception that by which these people look at us now and what they used to look at us, let's say, 15 years ago. Huge
Indeed. Indeed, Ambassador Basmati Mukherjee are telling us clearly that the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister himself, his personal interest is what has helped us reach this deal as fast as possible because decisions were quick and he was actively involved. But let me turn to Mr. Ralan once again. With regard to short-term jobs, after all, what's the point of a deal unless we are looking for opportunities for employment? And the British are looking at that very clearly. He was mentioning.
We
Yeah.
hope, I mean,
Okay,
in
go ahead.
we hope that it is 100,000 minimum employment we are expecting. It may be much more because a lot of people from the small cities and all this, those who are, they never used to get the competitive prices from there. So I think, see, look at the quality, subject was coming in quality of the product. See, the UK, they send a product which they are buying from Europe or USA. They send the drawings. I mean, it's a hard check on that. We give the reciprocal sample. So it is not the India was selling just a flea market product and all this. India is at a position that India is selling very good quality of products, exactly as what they are expecting from the exporter. India, lot of exporters I know, including me, who are even exporting to China also. I have 5 customers in China. So
Right.
100, maybe 100,000 to maybe more. This will be the employment generation, extra employment generation.
Okay. In terms also, Mr. Ralan, of logistics, because after all, we are moving again to some more visuals coming in where Prime Minister is drinking tea.
The Prime Minister has gone to an exhibition, we are told, Mark, along with Prime Minister Starmer. After the Prime Minister and the two Prime Ministers held a meeting, so he's at this exhibition there in London.
Indeed, this looks very much like the medical field.
All kind of products. There was a spice corner there. So they basically are traders putting up the exhibition that the two Prime Ministers are visiting. Textiles.
Jewelry, yes. So everything that we talked about to some extent, I mean, it will be referred to them. Because the Prime Minister did refer to medical equipment from Britain coming into India. This is the Premier League football as well. What tea is that, you think? Masala tea?
Looks like.
Of the CETA, the prime ministers were due to have a business interaction with businessmen. I think this is part of that whole process, and I guess they're also displaying some of their products. So obviously they're very keen on this agreement and how we have got access to each other's markets, and of course product standards will also apply, regulation will apply. But let's turn to Mr. Ralan once again, because he's involved very closely with the sector. What kind of logistics is involved, and perhaps logistics costs, and maybe opportunities for logistics in terms of this deal? Involved with the sector. Mr. Ralan, I was wondering about how this comes into play, this CETA, how much it will increase, opportunities for the logistics sector. Could you help us understand that?
I think the Indian Concord is also coming up with the shipping line and all this. With this, there will be going to be a much more competition amongst the other shipping lines, and logistic cost, I think, should be less in the times to come.
Well, indeed, Prime Minister, along with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, has visited an exhibition where products were displayed by Indian businesses based in Britain. The English Premier League trophy was also on display at this exhibition. These are the visuals that we continue to show you. Ambassador Mukherjee, you're with us too. You could put into context for us these kind of meetings with the two principals and what it sort of does for industry when they have direct access to government, and then they start B2B sort of interaction.
When the PM travels, a huge number of business people either travel with him or separately, precisely because of these kind of exhibitions. I'll give you a simple example. We are looking at Indian jewelry. That is highly popular in the West because we use at least 22 karat gold, whereas they use 18 carats. So there's a big difference in quality. And more, for example, we saw the Spice Kitchen, we saw the Prime Minister being given a recipe book. That again, I have to tell you, Mark, it's very ironical that the best cuisine in London, and you're there, so I'm telling you, the best cuisine is Indian cuisine. You may not want to eat Indian food since you've gone from India, but I can tell you that in London, it's the most popular food, far ahead of Chinese cuisine. And the kind of benefits that's going to happen because we have, oh, their market has been opened up, will also benefit our tourism inflows into India and help us to make more restaurants and business all over the UK because it is immensely popular. It's also very equally popular in Ireland. And whatever happens in UK then percolates into the EU because of the Good Friday Agreement. They have an agreement on tariffs and taxes between UK and Ireland. That is exactly how finally Brexit was made possible. And this is going to therefore help Indian business and industry, not just in London or in UK, but also in Ireland, where there is a huge market available. I'd also like to say that somebody was asking what kind of chai is the Prime Minister having. I wanted to say that one of the nicest things about going to London is you can never feel homesick because everything that you have at home is available there, slightly more expensive. And one of the most important items which is highly popular, and I'm willing to bet that it's masala chai, is the masala chai which everybody, including the Brit Goras, have, along with our iconic curries, etc. The masala chai has become a singular feature in UK. When you go there, you're always greeted with masala chai. So these are all images which you're showing us. I'd be curious to know what is in that shelf on textiles, because our textiles are wildly popular in UK. The Bangladesh textile industry has gone down terribly because of their domestic political problems. And we have actually moved into that space very smoothly. Therefore, I would look for a huge jump in Indian textile exports to UK, to EU, and to the US, because earlier the Bangladeshis were trying to flood us out. That is no longer true because most of their factories were run by people who they don't like anymore, and most of their factories have shut down. And we have very smoothly moved into that space. So I would say that textile part of it, Mark and Amrit, you both need to look at carefully at the remaining to see what they are offering, what they are showing the British Prime Minister from the perspective of Indian textiles, which at any point of time is cheaper than their own British home-designed clothes and clothes and fashion.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I request you to stay on. Let me bring in my colleague Gautam Roy, who joins us from the United Kingdom. He's covering this visit of the Prime Minister. Gautam, if you're there with us, you know, the British Prime Minister called this the most significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. All right, Gautam, please stay on. This is Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Keir Starmer with interacting with little children, young girls and boys who were playing cricket, some kind of a gully cricket that they were playing. The Prime Minister giving a bat to the little girl child.
Also has all sorts of signatures, probably signatures of the Indian cricket team.
It is typically gully cricket, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The Prime Minister spoke about the cricketing ties between the two countries, and he said, you know, in a way, cricket is a metaphor for the great metaphor for the partnership between the two countries. He said we may have had a swing and a miss here and there at times, but we always play with a straight bat. He said sharing he said we are committed to high scoring partnership.
Right.
And he said cricket in both nations is not just a game but a passion. Okay, let me get my colleague Gautam. Gautam, you know, we'll take you in vision in a bit, but if you can hear my voice, we are playing the visuals of the Prime Minister interacting with children playing gully cricket there, literally gully cricket. The Prime Minister said it's a passion, not just a game. Did you find that when you walked the streets of London and Luton, where you are, the kind of passion that you see in India?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, there is a lot of passion for football as well, but cricket is not too far behind as far as the English sports fans are concerned, different admirers of different sports. And cricket indeed is a metaphor for the kind of ties that India and UK have, and cricket has been bringing us closer for a long, long time. Right now we have a very competitive test series going on. Of course, the theatre of the gamesmanship is right now not here in London, which is the Oval as well as the Lords, but elsewhere. And we have a challenging task ahead of us, but both India and UK have never been shy of facing challenges. They've taken them on head on. The challenge of negotiating an FTA, the CETA, was a formidable one, but through the course of 3.5 years, they held strong. Through the course of change of governments, prime ministers, they held strong. And now it's been taken across the line in over 2,000 pages. And it's going to usher in a kind of closeness, a kind of mutual benefit that has never been, it's completely unprecedented. The UK government, Sir Keir Starmer himself, the Prime Minister, is literally over the moon. And that's what is being reflected now, right now, as they walk about in Chequers as well. Chequers Estate, of course, the retreat, the rural retreat, so to speak, of the British Prime Minister. And that's where these two leaders have held their meeting. They're meeting business leaders as well. They've seen that exhibition where display of goods manufactured and exported by Indian companies to UK, as well as the companies in UK to India, were displayed. So all that has been on for a long, long time. And with this particular CETA, it will get a booster dose. It will be on steroids, really. That's what is expected.
Okay. Gautam, as I was saying, the UK Prime Minister called it the most significant trade deal since Brexit, or since they left the EU. The Indian Prime Minister called it historic moment. Both sides, spoke about, when the two principals spoke, both sides spoke about how their particular countries will benefit from the deal. What is the general sense that you gather there? What is the media saying about the deal? Are they calling it a game changer? How are they viewing it?
Yes, we've seen that in the morning itself with all the British publications. The phrase game changer was used, the phrase landmark was used, the phrase, of course, the biggest trade deal that the UK has entered into ever since Brexit. That's a big one, and it's a big mouthful as well, a big indicator of how things are moving in the world as well, where global trade is concerned, from protectionism on one hand, which is, of course, right now seen to be having a heavier weight on the scales than openness. But then this may again tip the balance. Who knows? I mean, India has been working on a trade deal with the US, with the EU as well. It may tip the balance there. It's all open now. Possibilities are endless.
Okay. Gautam, well, I mean, the Labour Party is in power, and they were hoping that this deal would probably, boost their ratings a bit. After all, the economy has struggled, and we've had guests on the show who've been telling us the reasons for that. Lots of decisions which are aligning with the US's model in isolating Russia, and post-COVID, and then post-Brexit, and then also the war in Ukraine. So all this adding up and giving them a tough time. So in this context, I mean, when the Labour comes to power, they are supposed to provide that sort of relief. Is this that relief, in a sense?
Well, it's a relief to the UK itself, apart from, of course, it will lead to a generation of a lot of wealth and income across different segments of society in both these countries, in the UK as well as in India. And we will see that translating into ground realities once this pact comes into effect, which will only be next year, around the time, I guess, of May and June. So that's when it really hits the ground. And from that time on, I'm sure it will take some time to deliver the kind of dividends that it's promising. But the dividends, I'm sure, will come through, because the intent is clear to ensure that this CETA proves to be a landmark for both the economies. Already estimates have been drawn, 4.8 billion British pounds for the UK economy. That's what it will bring in every year, adding 0.1% to the GDP every year. Apart from that, there will be spin-off benefits in investment, in supply chains. So all that is again being added to over 6 billion British pounds for the UK government. A similar story will play out for India as well. Employment generation will be huge. And there will be, of course, the protection of the concerns of farmers, of the MSMEs, of youth as well, in terms of generation of jobs and opportunities, even in the UK, to come and study and work. So all this is at play.
Fishermen, Gautam, as well. I mean, youth, farmers, MSME,
yes,
fishermen.
certainly, fishermen as well, fisheries as well. For both British, the fishermen in UK, Scotland is known for its salmon, India is known for its shrimp. And mango pulp, it's mango season, it's waning right now in India, but that's again something that will become completely tariff-free here in the UK. So I'm sure we will be seeing them enjoying some mangoes and products made of mango pulp as well, be it aam papad or others, jam maybe.
Mango, grapes, a processed food, Indian processed food.
Yes, certainly. I mean, India is a producer of great whiskey as well. We can give the British, the Scots, a run for their money where the Scotch is concerned.
But they're lowering the tariffs on Scotch. Their Scotch is coming down to India. The Indians will get it at much cheaper prices now.
Well, that depends, Amrit. I think you and I had discussed that, because the tariffs at home are in the hands of state governments. If they do not hike the excise, then the cost benefit might be passed on to consumers, to all the tipplers, so to speak, and that is like a slashing of the tariffs to half, from 150% to 75% in at the get-go, and then later on through the years it will come down to 40%. So all that benefit could accrue to consumers, but we can't be sure of that at this stage.
Okay. Gautam, that's about the trade deal, which of course was the highlight of this visit, the signing of the trade deal. But beyond that, it is a much wider relationship which the two prime ministers discussed, the entire gamut of the relationship, ranging from defense to migration and mobility, education, technology and innovation.
Yes, I mean, just look at the Technology Security Initiative that was initiated just last year, and the first anniversary has been celebrated now, and it holds a lot of promise where development of not just IT is concerned, of all forms of communication, of even critical minerals is concerned. There's investments that are planned, or at least studies that are planned for mines in Dhanbad as well, where the extraction of critical minerals is concerned. So there's a huge potential that remains still unexplored between India and the UK, and the path is being laid out for that to take place now as we go along. I'm sure investments will also flow, because as I had spoken to Surinder Arora, who's the owner of the Arora Group, an Indian immigrant who came to the UK when he was 13 and was a loader at the Heathrow Airport, is now an owner of a homegrown conglomerate in the UK, which has zero presence in India. And he said, now we're looking at investing there. A survey said that 42% of such UK companies who took that survey said that they're looking to have a presence now in India within the next 2 years. And those UK companies, over 1,000 of them that are already in India, more than 90% of them want to increase their investment in India.
Right. Also, Gautam, with regard to in terms of defense, and we know that a lot of things have been spoken about, but there was the F-35 plane that was stuck in Thiruvananthapuram. It found its way onto an aircraft carrier in Australia finally. But any mention, about how India allowed that plane to be looked after and took care of it for about a month? And then, I mean, it might have been an aside, but what was there any other area that besides this FTA that you have information about?
Well, yes, certainly. I mean, the issue of terrorism figured very prominently. We saw how Prime Minister Modi mentioned it in his statement as well, that he appreciated how the UK has condemned the attack in Pahalgam to the extreme, to the most extent that they could, and also the issue of those who misuse freedom of speech and democracy and besmirch it or diminish it here in the UK itself. We've seen that not play out in this particular visit of the Prime Minister, because a lot of the Prime Minister's engagement were kept hush-hush. Where he was staying was kept hush-hush on the outskirts of London, and we all played a part in that, and which is why this has worked out so fruitfully, that the Prime Minister has been at Chequers now, engaging with Keir Starmer, and he'll then be at Sandringham as well, meeting the King of the UK.
All right.
Charles III.
King Charles III. So is that his last engagement before he flies out, Gautam?
Effectively, yes, that's what we know so far, although I was told that since the UK and India share an interest in renewable energy, there could be a sort of a sidelines visit to certain solar farms as well, but we have to wait and see if that actually takes place.
Wait for a confirmation on that.
Right. Also, Gautam, I mean, what are the kind of protocols involved with... oh, you've said bye. Okay, fine, that's fine. But do we have our guests still with us? In fact, we turned to Ambassador Basmati Mukherjee about this. So the meeting with royalty, Ambassador Mukherjee, what kind of protocols are involved?
Mark have modified that protocol. Because I recall in the past, you had to walk backwards when the king, and that can be pretty awkward, particularly in Indian dress. If you have to walk backwards and you don't know what you're walking into. All that has been now modernized, and King Charles himself has taken measures to modernize. But yes, it's a very important meeting. I recall that he had come as the Crown Prince or Prince of Wales many years ago. I looked after him. And he is a great lover of India. He loves our agricultural produce, our agriculture, gardens. He's very interested in organic farming. So I think it's going to be a very successful meeting. I don't know whether this is the right occasion to raise with the British at a lower level the important issue of the return of our cultural property lying in all their museums, including the British Museum. I believe that this is going to be taken up very diplomatically, quietly on the side, because there is a lot of pressure now on the UK, not just from India, but from they have returned some stuff to Greece, and which they had taken in colonial times, and there is pressure on them coming from the Egyptians and from us to return our stuff. That's an important item which is not listed on the agenda, but usually when we meet royalty. We very subtly and in an indirect manner do talk about the hopes and aspirations of 1.4 billion Indians who would like to see their heritage, cultural heritage back home. Apart from that, I think Prince Charles is keen to visit India, so maybe our Prime Minister will invite him. He has been a regular visitor to India, in fact. He loves India, and he would be most welcome here. I also wanted to add that as the earlier event where the Prime Minister presented a bat, let me add as a strong feminist that our Prime Minister strongly encourages women playing cricket, and all those little girls there, the one he presented the cricket bat to was to a little girl, and there were a lot of little girls there, which means that the women's cricket team in both UK and India is going great places. So cricket also has become gender sensitive. Also thanks to PM, he's been very supportive. As far as the other visit is concerned, the royal visit, perhaps it would also be an opportunity for our PM to discuss the health of the Commonwealth, what's happening to the Commonwealth, what are the issues. There will be a Commonwealth summit coming up. The King is the head of the British Commonwealth for some nations, not for us. But we do acknowledge that the Brits have a very important role in the Commonwealth, and India has a very important role to play in the Commonwealth too. So
True.
maybe
Right.
side discussion.
Right.
We're running short of time, so a final word from you, Mr. Ralan. Which sectors are all geared up now after this CETA has been signed to, they've got that energy in them? Which are the sectors you think amongst the exporters are all ready to export?
Textile, apparel, leather, footwear, gem and jewelry, Gujarat-based, engineering goods and auto components. These are all, I mean, see, actually, apart from this agreement, I always look for the opportunity with such a discussions going on. We have a pain in the MSME industry. Everybody says there is a unemployment in the country, but we say there is no unemployment in the country. We are always, it is all over the country, my dear friend, all over the country. There is in manufacturing sector,
All
there
right.
is always a shortage of minimum 30 to 35%.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So Mark's question was what sectors stand to gain. You've said that.
I told you the
Right. So
We'll have to leave it there. My colleague will be there on the other side of the break. I'll take this opportunity to thank Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee and Mr. S.C. Ralan for taking our time and being on the show. Thank you very much. And that's it in this cast.
Special coverage that we've
special
been
coverage.
of the Prime Minister's visit to the United Kingdom, and it says very clearly economic partnership for prosperity and growth, and that's exactly what we've been discussing. There's huge potential, plenty of opportunities for both employment, for new industries, for emerging sectors, and we just hope both sides very well.
Taking a very short break. On the other side, my colleague Munmun Bhattacharya will be there. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.